Introducing InstaLearn by Ma'am Evita Javier. So, good day. I want to introduce my very own kind of InstaLearn book to each and every one of you. So, all of the content of this book is my own work, my handwritten, design, and own drawing. So, I'm going to open it because I will teach you some topics. Okay, I opened it. So, this is Ma'am Evita Javier from Bulacan State University, Meneses Campus, taking Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English. My English studies at Bulacan State University have not only given me knowledge that I am using right now, but also made me an overall better, more critical reader and writer. My experience as an English major has been an enriching one that has prepared me both professionally and personally for the use after graduation. Okay, now we will discuss about stylistics and also grammar and style. What if I said it feels like I walked 1,000 miles today? Or I'm going to die if I have to sit through one more meeting? If you interpreted either of those sentences literally, you would probably be concerned about the person saying them. But if we look at these sentences figuratively, we know that the first sentence signifies someone who is exhausted. Again, exhausted. And the second reflects a person's lack of patience, attention, and overall boredom. Okay? Both of these sentences use stylistic devices to help the reader understand the emotion of the speaker and imagery of the idea being conveyed. So now, stylistic devices. Stylistic devices, techniques to give an additional and or supplemental meaning, idea, or feeling. Also known as figures of speech or rhetorical devices. The goal of these techniques is to create imagery, emphasis, or clarity within a text in hopes of engaging the reader. Okay, now let's take a look at some examples to learn more about how to find and understand these devices. There are many stylistic devices in literature, but today we are going to focus on 6 specific devices that are used most commonly. Okay, first we have simile. Pronounced simile is a literary term where you use like or as to compare two different things and show a common quality between them. A simile is different from a simple comparison in that it usually compares two unrelated things. For example, she looks like you is a comparison but not a simile. On the other hand, she smells like the sun is a simile as it compares a woman with something of a different kind, the sun. So again, simile is a figure of speech involving the comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind used to make a description more emphatic or vivid. So another example, on her first day of school, Jane was as cool as a cucumber, as sweet as pie, colorful like rayon. Metaphor, pronounced metaphor, is a common figure of speech that makes a comparison by directly relating one thing to another unrelated thing. Unlike similes, metaphors do not use words such as like or as to make comparisons. The wearer or speaker relates the two unrelated things that are not actually the same, and the audience understands that it's a comparison, not a literal equation. The word comes from a Latin phrase to carry across, and a metaphor does just that. It carries a shared quality or characteristic across two distinct things. So again, metaphor is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable.
Okay, now these are some of the examples of metaphor. So, first, he has the heart of a lion. The meal was a rainbow of colors. You are the sunshine of my life.
The third one, which is the personification. So, personification is a kind of metaphor in which you describe an inanimate object, abstract thing, or non-human animal in human terms. It is used to create more interesting and engaging scenes or characters. So, again, personification, the attribution of a personal nature or human characteristics to something non-human, or the representation of an abstract quality in human form. For example, that bottle of wine is calling my name. My computer stubbornly refused to start. The rain is dancing on the roof.
The next one, hyperbole. Hyperbole, pronounced hyperbole, is a figure of speech in which an author or speaker purposely and obviously exaggerated to an extreme. It is used for emphasis or as way of making a description more creative and humorous. It is important to note that hyperbole is not meant to be taken literally. The audience knows it's an exaggeration. So again, hyperbole, exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally. So for example, that food was so hot so that my ears were smoking. I'm so tired I could sleep a year. He cried so long that he made a lake. Okay. Again, hyperbole.
So the next one, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia, pronounced onomatopoeia, refers to words whose pronunciations imitate the sounds they describe. Onomatopoeia can be used to describe the gears of machines working, the horn of a car, horning, animals croaking or barking, or any number of other sounds. So again, onomatopoeia, the formation of a word from a sound associated with what is named. For example, there was a loud bang on the door. There was a loud crack. When we enjoy a performance, we clap our hands. Okay, last but not the least, oxymoron. An oxymoron is a figure of speech that puts together opposite elements. The combination of those contradicting elements serves to reveal a paradox, confuse, or give the reader a laugh. The word oxymoron is derived from the Greek phrases oxus and moros, meaning a mix of sharp and keen, and dull and dumb. For examples, it was an open secret. The Walking Dead. The play was a tragic comedy. Again, these are some of the examples of stylistic devices. Okay, again, to make it more clear, let's go again to the topic stylistics. So, it is study of the devices in languages such as rhetorical figures and syntactical patterns that are considered to produce expressive or literary style. Bali and Spitzer. Style in language arises from the possibility of choice among alternative forms of expression. Sapir, relation between style and linguistics. 20th century, look at relationships between social, contextual, and formal linguistic analysis. Fish and Harnstein Smith interrogate the logical assumptions underlying stylistics. Modern stylistics, a method of textual interpretation in which primacy of place is assigned to language. Again, it teaches to write and speak, to improve the style of the writer, show the writer means of improving their ability to express their ideas. Why is do stylistics? First, to explore language. Second, to explore creativity in language use. Again, why do stylistics? To master the language and working out a conscious approach to language. So, why is language important to stylisticians? The various forms, patterns, and levels that constitute linguistic structure are an important index of the function of the text, which in turn acts as a gateway to its interpretation. So, the reason why language is important to stylisticians is because the various forms, patterns, and levels that constitute linguistic structure are an important index of the function of the text. So I have here a reflection paper in stylistics inside this envelope with smiley. So we will open the envelope and see the reflection paper inside. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's read. Stylistics is interdisciplinary in scope as it brings together linguistics and literary studies. It claims to be eclectic by liberally allowing views from disciplines of philosophy, cultural theory, sociology, history, and psychology to further stylistic analysis to literature. So again, my reflection paper in stylistics. So again, my reflection paper tells that the stylistic is a method of textual interpretation in which primary of place is assigned to language. So now let's proceed to the grammar and style in stylistics. So again, grammar and style are very important and helpful in meeting the writing process goal of ensuring the clear communication of ideas. So first we have grammar. So grammar includes any writing problem for which there is definitive right or wrong answer. So errors in grammar disrupt and confuse readers, making your meaning unclear. Below we list some common grammar and style issues. So first, the grammar itself. It is important that your manuscript be written in correct English grammar. Most journals will reject a manuscript if it is not written in correct English, even if the content is worthy of publication. Okay? Again, the grammar. The second one is the subject-verb. So, the correct form of a verb is determined by the subject of the phrase and not the noun that precedes the verb. Place the verb as close to the subject as possible. So, which versus that?
So the word that introduces essential information but phrases that begin with which give additional non-essential information and are set off by commas. So again, the grammar and the subject verb. So the third one, which is the dangling and misplaced modifiers. Be sure modifiers actually modify what they are intended to modify. So be sure that it is a phrase as close as possible to the word they modify to avoid distorting the meaning of the sentence. The second one is the verb tense. So, use the past tense for the materials and methods and the results. Use the present tense to describe established experiments and data that exist in the literature. So, it is important to check the journal's requirements. So, the fifth one. So, the articles. Most nouns in English are preceded by an article, for example, a, an, the, and several, every time they are used. So, this applies to nouns directly preceded by an adjective. However, there are instances where no article is needed. There are many contradictory elements of English grammar. The sixth one, comparative terms. Comparative terms are words and phrases such as bigger, smaller, and more, less, and etc. So, sentences containing a comparative term without completing the comparison are meaningless. So, the seventh one, which is the split infinitive. An infinitive is made up of two words, usually the word to in front of the bare verb, such as to measure. So, a split infinitive puts an adverb between the two parts of the infinitive. To carefully measure is a split infinitive. So, carefully splits to measure. As a general rule, you should avoid splitting infinitives. Okay, last but not the least, the style. So, style. Most journals require their own writing style. The author guidelines usually explain in detail the journal's requirements. So, here are some general tips for ensuring you adhere to the journal's requirements. So, first, we have a tone. Your writing depending upon the journal's style or your audience should be either formal and structured or informal and loosely organized. So, again, tone. The next one is the passive versus active voice. Many journals believe the passive voice is more objective and therefore more suitable for scientific writing. So, however, we suggest using the active voice wherever appropriate. So, you should check the author guidelines or review some of the journal's articles to determine the journal style. So, the third one, which is the first versus third person. If there is one stylistic area where scientific disciplines and journals vary widely, it is the use of first versus third person constructions. So, limit your use of first person construction. For example, I or we undertook this study. So, the abbreviation and acronyms. An abbreviation or acronym is justified only if the full expression is excessively long or if the abbreviation is well known to all researchers in the discipline. So, when using an abbreviation or acronym, define it in parentheses the first time it is used. So now, the references. It is very important to make sure all references are cited in the text and required format. Again, the references. So, the next one, the numbers. Numbers should be spelled out when they begin a sentence. Now, the wordiness. So, wordiness, words that don't enhance content or meaning may bog down the reader. Effective writers use as few words as possible to convey precisely their information or ideas. Again, the wordiness. My reflection in grammar and style. Grammar helps one to know language comprehensively and makes talking and writing more fluent, of course. And then style, the manner of doing and presenting things, and study of literary style. So, star student, terrific, super, fabulous. Okay, thank you for your listening. Goodbye, God bless us all, and